Donald Trump has warned Hamas and Hezbollah that they must release all their captives before he takes office on January 20th. Otherwise, terrorist organizations will receive the full might of the United States, as it has never happened in the great and long history of the country. In the Western Hemisphere, Hamas and Hezbollah happen to promote cells and bases in Venezuela, Nicaragua, and Bolivia, which means that United States military intervention in either Nicaragua, Venezuela, and Bolivia is possible both because of the Monroe Doctrine ensuring that America must be for Americans and not for Hezbollah or Hamas, and also because it is the duty of the greatest democracy police in the world that its backyard is free of terrorism. 30 days are left until Edmundo González Urrutia takes office in Venezuela, and we have 40 days left so that Donald Trump takes office in the United States. Hamas and Hezbollah still have over a month to release the captives, and Diosdado Cabello, Nicolás Maduro, and Vladimir Padrino López still have 30 days left to agree on terms for their peaceful transfer of power to President-elect Edmundo González Urrutia, who might be triumphantly coming from Spain into the Americas and finally into Venezuela, and he will be received as the new head of state, and he will have to be proclaimed at the National Assembly because most of the Venezuelan military voted for Edmundo González Urrutia, as demonstrated in tallies produced by polling stations where the military voted. That means that many of the Venezuelan armed forces, even though they pretend to support the Maduro regime for the time being, when the date of January 10 comes, their wives, their children, their parents, their neighbors will remind them that the time to act has come, and they will not allow Nicolás Maduro to usurp power anymore. Nicolás Maduro was complaining that María Corina Machado is a fascist and that she is bringing oppression into Venezuela. Whatever Nicolás Maduro says doesn't matter because he lost and he will go. Furthermore, nobody recognizes him at the international community. Support from Russia is limited for having a client to whom selling firearms. Vladimir Padrino López is mostly a Venezuelan salesman for Russian war machinery. Iran is deeply committed in the expansion of Hamas and Hezbollah in Venezuela and Nicaraguan territory, and as Donald Trump has made it clear that will no longer continue, that is unacceptable, the full might of the United States will remove Hamas and Hezbollah from contributing to global terrorism. So we should expect a swift movement towards democracy in Venezuela, which will ease similar movements in both Cuba and Nicaragua. Bolivia will remain absolutely landlocked, and the pressure of governments of Paraguay, Uruguay, Chile, Peru, and Brazil will eventually promote a return to democracy in Bolivia as the Venezuelan assistance for dictatorship will no longer arrive. As the United States federal military or United States federal contractors such as Eric Prince study Caracas geography in order to support the removal of Nicolás Maduro so that the seat he occupies at Miraflores Palace becomes available for President-elect Edmundo González Urrutia, a parish called 23rd of January is crucial. 23rd of January parish is located immediately west of Caracas downtown and comprises hills which provide a spectacular view of Caracas downtown, La Pastora and Sucre parishes, and south into San Juan parish. Tourist locations at 23rd of January parish include the infamous mountain headquarters of Hugo Chávez's coffin. It is a military museum full of relics from the Chavista era, and the security of such territory is not assigned to ordinary Venezuelan police or military, as they have their own collectives, which are paramilitary units deeply ingrained in Marxist terrorist ideology. They have been effectively trained by old-age Cuban revolutionaries with decades of experience in oppressing citizens of poor countries and robbing them with any wealth they may have earned, and a sense of extreme paramilitary fear is felt throughout the 23rd of January parish. However, population of the 23rd of January parish also voted in majority for Edmundo González Urrutia. Even though Maduro still retains some minority support at 23rd of January parish, most of the population conforms the silent majority that supports return of democracy. However, those paramilitary units at the 23rd of January parish conform the fourth ring of security for the usurpation forces of Nicolás Maduro, which means moving inward into Miraflores Palace, there is a third ring, a second ring, and a first ring of a combination of Cuban, Iranian, Russian, and Venezuelan military, mercenaries, police, and paramilitaries. They are all combined in various degrees of freedom and independence, so that none of them effectively respond to anyone in Venezuela, but to their bosses, mainly in Iran and Cuba. As we know, Nicolás Maduro is everyone's puppet in the regime. However, Diosdado Cabello has been organizing traditional police forces as the Minister of Interior, and many loyalties are now supposed to be shifted toward him. In fact, recently there was a big talk of removal of high-level military and investigation officers who were loyal to Maduro, and they were removed so that people more loyal to Diosdado Cabello could take the responsibility. Diosdado Cabello has become a very powerful man recently because he has been the mastermind of the fraud against Edmundo González Urrutia. He has diligently prepared the day-to-day proceedings on how to continue forever with electoral fraud, while he advertised it on national television on his weekly show. He always followed the steps of members of the opposition and seldom talked about any publishable results from the government, because clearly this atrocious regime has not accomplished anything. All those people are dangerous. They are armed to the teeth. They have purchased insane quantities of modern warfare machinery from Russia and Iran, and in a lesser degree China, and they will not hesitate to send all their militants into certain death as long as they can protect usurpation, because their goal is to prevent democracy to return into Venezuela, and their utter objective is, with the help of Hezbollah and Hamas, destroy the empire of the United States, as Hugo Chavez clearly stated so many times. The United States should not believe narrative from Nicolas Maduro offering wonders for oil, because he really wants to destroy the United States. That is what he has been trained to do since his childhood education in Cuba. He was the chosen one by Fidel Castro to succeed Nicolas Maduro and not Diosdado Cabello. It is interesting that Daniela Cabello, the daughter of Diosdado Cabello, is now void of her United States visa, and she, starting this week, is being sanctioned by the OFAC, Office of Foreign Assets Control. A big chunk of the Diosdado Cabello stolen fortune is now frozen under United States law. Still, they will count on a sizable paramilitary unit on 23rd of January parish, and the 4 rings of security that Nicolas Maduro still enjoys as loyal to him will have to be destroyed. It is almost impossible to make them change their mind, and they will probably fight to death. Their clear objective, as stated by former mayor of Caracas, Almirante Carmen Melendez, is they must succeed at the objective of proclaiming Nicolas Maduro as president of Venezuela for a 3rd time. That is unacceptable. The international community must not accept it, and all countries in the Americas, including Brazil, Colombia, Chile, Bolivia, and most Caribbean islands such as Antigua and Barbuda, Trinidad and Tobago, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, and other remaining Maduro allies must recognize that should an international coalition led by the United States come into Venezuela, that will not be foreign interference, and that will be a welcome temporary invasion needed to restore rule of law in the country, as needed by the presidency of Edmundo González Urrutia. And that intervention might also take some time, as we know we not only have to deal with the 23rd of January paramilitary units, but similar units all around Venezuela, especially at the Táchira Apure border, which are also significant, and many terrorist organizations directly imported from the Middle East, which are a military target of Mossad Israel, and all of them must be destroyed or deported. It will be necessary to deport Iranians, Cubans, Russians, illegal Chinese. All of them are extracting unlawfully resources from our land. We are receiving no taxes, no benefits from it, and they are enriching plutonium refineries and factories in Iran so that jihad may destroy eventually the United States. Everything that happens in Venezuela is a national security threat to the United States, which must intervene. It is necessary that Joe Biden administration makes all necessary preparations so that Marco Rubio and Donald Trump swiftly take action simultaneously against Hamas, Hezbollah, and Venezuela on the first day he arrives into power. In Brazil, Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo González Urrutia participated through a video conference to all congressmen of Brazil, explaining various talking points of democracy, how they won the election, and how the Maduro regime is still powerful in determining Brazilian President Lula da Silva policy. Brazil is in the uncomfortable situation of holding the diplomatic representation of Argentina. As we know, Javier Milei is the president of Argentina. He does not get along with any communist dictator, as it should be for any president. Javier Milei, along with Nayib Bukele, and now Donald Trump, are the three best presidents available in the Americas. But in any case, the Argentine Foreign Affairs Ministry admitted Magali Meda, Pedro Urruchurtu, Omar González, and three other high-level Edmundo González Urrutia electoral campaign team. They have been confined into the house of the Argentine embassy since the beginning of the year, and the Venezuelan regime now has cut access of water, access of food. The electrical grid has been destroyed in the vicinity of the Argentine ambassador residency, and Brazil, which is supposed to take custody of Argentine interests in Venezuela, is not doing anything. Itamari was supposed to be the best foreign policy available in Latin America. Brazil was supposed to be a highly respected member of the international community, and it is quickly falling into abyss. We recently learned that the Brazilian real, the currency of Brazil, has devalued in a greater proportion than any other currency in the hemisphere. The exchange rate is over 6 reais per dollar, when at one point it even was more valuable than the dollar, similar to the euro. But socialist economic policies tend to devalue currencies so that printed money is available for social programs that only benefit chosen contractors while general population remains poor or becomes even poorer. It is necessary that the international community pressures Brazil to protect the Argentine embassy in Caracas, because what's happening there is an act of war against Argentina, because it violates diplomatic treaties concerning the use of embassy soil throughout the world. Brazil must take steps to ensure that those hostages at the house of the embassy can be safely flown to Argentina, which is the country where they are technically sitting, as the Argentine embassy is Argentine soil. And Brazil is supposed to make that happen. All of those topics were thoroughly discussed between the Brazilian Congress, Maria Corina Machado and Edmundo Gonzalez, and we should expect some policy variations within Brazil shortly. Venezuelans are quickly moving to the right. United States citizens are also moving to the right. Our two countries held elections almost at the same time, and we shifted towards the same ideas of freedom, free enterprise, and deportation of unneeded nationals from our territory. Both countries are consumed by the drug traffic cartel industry, which should also be destroyed by Donald Trump, no matter what Claudia Sheinbaum says. Claudia Sheinbaum is an accident in Mexican history. Mexicans will have to deal with her for the last 6 years. Venezuelans, of course, we will offer our full support to the Mexican opposition so that they can form a right-wing opposition in accordance to healthy right-wing opposition that already exists in Spain, in Venezuela, and is also in government in El Salvador, Argentina, and the United States. Mexico will probably decline over the next few years, and the United States should just bomb those cartels out of Mexico. The United States should no longer allow the streets of Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Los Angeles with the filth of drug addicts supported by the dictatorships of Claudia Sheinbaum, Nicolás Maduro, Díaz-Canel, Luis Arce, or Daniel Ortega. All of them are busy. Oh, and Xiomara Castro, also from Honduras. How to forget her? Honduras is so important in the drug traffic routes to the United States. Leaders of all these unfriendly countries are determined to expand their coffers of the money of drug addicts in the United States who drug their lives to death, and rich dictators in the Americas, and that must stop. And Donald Trump must bomb cartels of Sinaloa and others out of existence, just as it is being done with Hamas and Hezbollah. That may include parts of Venezuela and Bolivia and Nicaragua. There are enough peace organizations in the planet which will quickly determine which places are safe or which places should not be touched. But a general increase in dissuasion methods must be used quickly to liberate the Americas from terrorists, Hamas, and Hezbollah and drug trafficking presidents of socialist countries. God bless America. God bless Latin America and the Caribbean.